Hi, this is DJ again, and I just wanted to go over a few things. It's another Sunday, and today happens to be Mother's Day. So, the one of the most interesting Buddhist statements is that all beings have been your mother. This is fascinating to me. All beings have been your mother. What in the world could that possibly mean? If all beings have been my mother, then all beings should be able to say that all beings have been their mother. And that would mean that I have been the mother of all beings. So each being, essentially, I have been its mother. I like the way that makes it, the way that touches in with reality. Because the divisions of the self are limited and they're even inappropriate. So that all beings have been my mother is most appropriate, because they say then that all beings have been your mother. That is why all beings have the compassion for you, the potential compassion anyway. So that gives us an idea of opening up. Now, of course, I differ in the Buddhist approach to the idea of reincarnation. Um, I believe reincarnation is largely dependent upon the world. The world creates the people it wants in it, in the same way that evolution accomplishes what an individual of a species cannot, whether that's a new degree of warmth in the cold, or a new, say, a longer beak on a bird that can reach into cracks and crevices that the other cannot. Or, for instance, say a woodpecker who hollows out holes in trees and eats the insects that are inside. So, I mean, these are some basic things, but maybe the tail, the prehensile tail, the all the different things that can come into play in this, I believe, are dictated by the desires of the individual beings that, in mass, move the uh, move the genetic material around to accomplish certain goals, whatever those goals are. This is why we find highly specialized animals in isolation or in certain areas of the world, because that animal has a place in that world, and other animals do not have places in other worlds. So, for instance, rabbits don't belong in Australia. I mean, they're everywhere in Australia. They've taken over and are destroying a lot of, and have been for decades now, destroying a lot of the habitat for the other wildlife that existed there prior to the rabbits' introduction. And now the cats, which of course were brought in to manage the rabbits, are they're everywhere now. So, what are you going to do? Um, the animals that were there had had modified themselves over the generations to a highly specialized balance and blend of different capabilities. And now with humans coming in, they see certain things and they do what they traditionally would do, um, which might mean if you're growing carrots or rabbits in one part of the world, you might think it's okay to breed them in another part of the world. Um, but in this part of the world, there are no foxes, um, there's no coyotes, there's no predators for that. So it just makes things more difficult. It just makes things out of balance. So at least in that region, right? So the other thing that I think is important to consider is that the mitochondrial DNA is passed from the mother to the child. And this performs a lot of the functions of the cell. Or it gives the instructions to the cell to perform certain functions. Oh, okay, squirrel. Come here. This is Squirrel. she apparently didn't want to show her face or didn't know how. At any rate, Squirrel's about a year old now, and she's very active in playing with Puddle, who is the kitten that I just adopted. Well, or I'm fostering, let's say. No, there goes Squirrel again. Squirrel, you get down now, honey. Get down. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's talk about animals and what is our relationship with animals, because I think this is very important. Without animals, humans would not have the capacities that they have now. They wouldn't have the capabilities. They would have never developed the social structures or been able to feed themselves nutritious enough food to avoid having to hunt and gather all day long. Animals, particularly dogs, made it possible to guard certain things and to prevent theft in that way, and to provide a good foundational piece for the variety of different kinds of experiences that are going to want to be expressed in a UU congregation. And then well, I think the relationships that we have with animals as well as with people make us better people. They make us more compassionate. They help us to be more aware of others and the needs and desires of others. When I look at the animals that I live with, that I live around, I know one that wants a treat every day, and one that doesn't care less, one that dislikes the treats, and one that would push another animal out of the way to get to it. So each animal has different desires, different perspectives, different capabilities. I recently adopted a kitten, and she is so sweet. I'm just appreciating her right at the moment. At any rate, thanks. I'll talk to you soon.